Mayor, I got a confirmation from Doug that he will be coming tonight. I do not know how late he'll be, but he is coming.
All right, we'll get started. Everybody hear me okay? Thumbs up? Okay. Welcome to our Washington City Council electronic meeting, given the Washington City hosted in Washington City offices, located at 111 North, 100 East. Meeting is broadcast via YouTube Live under washingtoncity.org/meetings. We welcome all of you. Welcome to council, department heads and staff that are here, and those of you wonderful citizens that might be participating and listening. I've asked Councilman Ivy if he will lead us in a word of prayer, and Councilman Coach if he will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for the opportunity we have as some of Washington City residents to meet together tonight and discuss the most important items of our city. Father, we're thankful for the opportunity to live here and to enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy as Americans. And as it was Memorial Day this past week, Father, we wish to give thee thanks and recognize the sacrifice of those that died so that we have the right to be able to meet tonight. Father, we're thankful for their sacrifice. We understand that those sacrifices last a long time, and that we need to be appreciative of everything they do by enacting all the acts of service and kindness that we can towards others in our community and in our lives. Father, we're thankful for these blessings. We ask you to bless us as we make decisions, that it will be with thy guidance and within thy will. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please rise and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America
and
and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation
nation
under God, indivisible,
with
with
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. Okay, move on to item 1, approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
So made.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Anything to announce? Who's that?
Oh, they're just working out some stuff in the rooms we're at.
Are you okay, Councilman Staley, in there? Chris, are you okay in there?
Yeah, I'm good, Mayor. I just I can hear the feed from YouTube. It's a delayed feed, but IT's getting it worked on right now. So okay.
All right. If nothing to announce, Councilman Ivy, maybe you want to just mention the county fair a little bit. Can you send us a little note?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just found out, Mayor probably already knew about this, but I just found out today that Washington City is going to be the honored city at this year's Washington County Fair. We're the highlight city, and with that comes some really cool things for me personally, and that is we get to choose a grand marshal for a parade and for the county fair, and then we have the ability to host a parade. And one of the great things we do in Washington City is we know how to celebrate our history and heritage, and what a better way than to do it with our friends and neighbors. So anyway, that will be, if we decide that we want to do it, then that would be on August 4th, which is a Tuesday. And then the county fair, of course, would open on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and Saturday of that week. But I was in contact with Susie Lafayette, who is the new administrator at the Legacy Park for the county, and she shared some information. And I've already reached out to Councilman Clough, with him being the activities and committee, and he shared his willingness to help, and I appreciate that. But I just think we can put on a show and show why we're all so proud to live in Washington City. But it's something exciting. I felt like it was something that might take a little bit of the hurt out of not having a Cotton Days celebration. So maybe we can swing it all into this if you approve and if the mayor approves of that. Thank you.
Just FYI, we are putting together a history about the city to turn in this by Friday. So we're moving forward with that. Councilman Clough?
Oh, Mayor, and maybe this is a question directed towards our city manager, Roger Carter. Are we at a stage where we can do parades? I'm just intensely curious about this, because I know we have different abilities within the different codes, and with us being in yellow, our gatherings and stuff have gotten larger. Unless you're running for governor, it seems your gatherings can be up to 400 in city parks. Are we at a point where we can start to do parades and stuff like that? Or are there any limitations, or is that up to our discretion as a council?
Well, I would have to look at the parade specifically, and I'd probably look at our emergency manager a little bit with request to that too. One of the things, of course, we're always careful of is creating any compelling event that would encourage people to violate any of the distancing issues. I know that for the 24th of July, I think Barry is working with President Carnevale, and they are looking at they're planning towards the 24th, but they're looking for kind of a modified to meet the guidelines. But I will be happy to get some research into that and send that out to the council. I think, of course, the city officials always have the discretion to do what they want to do, but we'll give you at least some guidance from what we see on the governor's plans.
So on that, working on the 24th of July, I've been on this committee for 2 years. I didn't get on any of the conversations with President Carnevale last year. Are you planning on having me be involved in that at all, Roger, for this year, or is that something you're going to handle as staff?
No, I think we will. So what happened is when we had met with President Carnevale, and it was myself and Councilman Ward, I think, was going to join us, and Barry. And it was initially to find out the role that the Washington City stake wanted, if any, based upon last year's experience. And President Carnevale committed to that. He asked that we begin the discussion with him about March, and that was just a reminder, and to begin the March discussion. Now, of course, March turned into what March became, but we still have reached out to him relatively soon thereafter. And again, the direction we've given the events people up at the community center is to plan towards the 24th, but plan it in such a way as that can be compliant. And that's the message that President Carnevale not only got, but President Carnevale, I believe, supports that as well. So I'll have Barry reach back to you, Councilman.
Thank you.
And tell you where we're at, because yes, we absolutely want that engagement. And I think we're just kind of moving that direction right now. Okay.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? My only concern I expressed to Susie a couple of weeks ago was on the parade. You're going to have the whole county here, not just Washington City. And our parade route is not that big. It could be interesting. So we'll move on.
Oh, here, I apologize. One last thing. This is just related, just as a quick question, but I have been asked by many members in our events committee, when can we start planning towards doing any event? Because whether it's on a 24th or a traditional day, I think a lot of us are trying to find out and would like to move towards a celebrating, even just getting past this crazy season that we've been through. even if we have to kind of combine and condense events, if that has to be pushed out. But I know everyone on my committee has asked me multiple times, can we start planning something? Can we start working towards something? And so that's why I'm just asking about parades and everything else. And I appreciate you, Mayor, talking about the concept of, if we have a parade here, Washington County comes here. I would really love to get us back to some sense of normalcy, but I'm just trying to find out at what point we can start gathering and planning. Should we start planning ahead of turning green, or should we just kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of having a hard time where to go from here. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
I'm supposed to be at Anaheim Stadium here at the 5th inning of an Angels Cleveland game today.
So, Councilman, I would say that our position has been, we're going to continue to work towards these events, but with the understanding that they may look different than they have in times past, and that we need to be prepared for that. So we're working towards these events with knowing that, let's say we stay at a yellow status, what does the 24th mean? If we stay at a yellow status when Veterans Day comes, what does that mean? But I don't think it would be wise for us to just go ahead and scratch these things. Hopefully we're on a better trend. So boy, as a council member, I'd encourage you to just keep moving forward and help us know what to do to support that.
Right. Good point. Thank you. Any other comments? We'll move on to item 3, declaration of abstentions and conflicts. Any of the council members have a conflict with any of the items today? If not, I'll move on to item 4, consent agenda, to approve the minutes for the city council meeting of 5/27/2020. That's all right. That's today. Oh, never mind. And B, final plat, consideration to approve the final plat for Magnolia Grove Estates, located approximately 2930 South 20 East. The applicant was Michael Barr.
Mayor, if there's no discussion, I reviewed
Press
the
up.
minutes and the final plat.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. I have one question on the minutes.
Okay,
On page 8, it's just in the motion. So on page 8, it says, Councilmember Coates made a motion to approve the ordinance to adopt zone change request Z-2002 to change from open space to PUD commercial planned unit development. Commercial without the concept of construction and the future look of the project would have to be in conjunction with the design of 3650 South. I think it needs to say that no concept was approved. No concept was approved and the future look. I just don't want it to say that it's just the future look in the future that's required, because it's the concept has to be required and brought back to council as well. And that's how my motion read.
Councilman Coates, did you also include the concepts of the study? I'm trying to remember how that kind of went in.
Well, that's what it says right here, where it says design aspects of 3650.
Okay.
So that's part of this.
I'm wondering if it might be prudent to not approve the minutes from May 13th for the regular meeting and have the recorder maybe clarify what your motion was, Councilman Coates, because I remember there you were quite specific on that, and there was a lot of discussion. So it would be good to maybe, rather than approve the minutes with trying to redefine a motion that was made after a lot of discussion, maybe we can task the recorder with just clarifying those minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. On the
I'll be
minutes.
glad to. Thank you.
Okay. And Denise, I can talk to you later about
Thank
make
you.
sure we look at the minutes of what we said. So
I have a question. This is Matt. Does that affect the entire minutes of the entire meeting? The only reason why I asked that question is we need to submit the minutes on the CDBG approval to move forward. That needs to go to the Dove Center by the end of the week so that they can make their formal application for that grant.
So it looks like that was item 6A. I'm wondering if we might be able to approve the minutes, but have the recorder clarify the motion that Councilman Coates made on item 6A.
I agree that we can do that. Yes.
All right.
Just make it in the motion when you approve them.
Is everyone comfortable with that? Dan, yeah, Craig?
Yes, yes, I'm good with that.
Okay, I'll take a stab at a motion then to approve the minutes from the workshop and regular meeting dated May 13th, 2020, with the stipulation that the recorder clarify the motion in item 6A to articulate clearly what was said and understood after that discussion and in that motion. And also that includes the approval of final plat for Magnolia Grove Estates located at approximately 2930 South and 20 East.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And roll call vote. Staley,
Aye.
Ivy,
Aye.
Coates,
Aye.
Bluff,
Aye.
Ward, have you joined us?
He's coming. We've talked to him. I don't know where he is.
I don't see him on any, so, all right, that is approved 4-0. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you for clarifying that. Okay, item 5, plat amendment. Consideration to approve an amendment to the new Warm Springs Phase 4, Amendment Number 2, located at 845 Caddington Road, Lot 80, applicant Robert Burns.
Thank you, Mayor. Can everybody see the plat on the screen, or do you see a bunch of other? Okay,
Not yet. There you go.
how's that? Okay. Now I'm going to zoom in before I get going to my report. Thank you. As stated, the applicants request an approval of an amended final plat for the New Warm Springs Phase 4 amended number 2 subdivision. The reason for this amendment request is to eliminate the detention basin area and turn it into a viable, usable building lot within the subdivision. The newly formed building lot will be labeled as lot number 80, and that you can see it up. Let me get the stuff so everybody knows where we're at. It'll be this lot here for the remainder of my presentation. Staff has reviewed the proposed amended final plat and finds it conforms to the single-family residential zoning and that the subdivision is in compliance with the subdivision ordinance of the city. The Planning Commission reviewed this request at their May 20th meeting, held a public hearing, and the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the amended final plat for the New Warm Springs Phase 4 amended number 2 subdivision onto the City Council. And that is based on, of course, the original findings and subject to the original conditions of the original plat, and they've all been met, so we have no concerns there. So I'll be glad to answer any questions that the council might have on this amended plat.
Yes, Drew, this is Councilman Ivy. My biggest question on this is why, if we required it to be a detention basin and now a building lot, and it looks like there's a 20-foot wide drainage on that east side, why is it no longer needed?
This area, there's a big area up here, and I'm only going to show you part of it in the blue. Can you see my blue pencil?
Yes.
Okay, what happened there is the city acquired land through the gift of Sitla, and this is where a lot of the flooding that was going down Main Street, really was coming from. People thought it was Brio, and it wasn't. So in conjunction between Washington City and Sitla, a new regional detention pond was made here. It's a massive one. If you go up, it's a really good looking detention pond. So with that new large one, this one was no longer needed because that's what if you look that 20-foot little strip, and I'm going to bring up another color here. I'm going to go with green. And this area right here is a 20-foot wide drainage easement. There's a pipe in there. So now the water still gets drained, but it goes directly into this blue area, into the larger regional detention basin. So that made it where lot 80 was not, the whole lot was not needed anymore. Because again, there's a new pipe that goes from the street and takes care of all of the New Warm Springs area up here through that pipe into the Blue Regional Detention Basin. So hopefully that answers your question. So in essence, that lot was never not needed anymore as a detention basin.
Councilman, is that, you have another question, Councilman Ivy?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Coates?
Oh, yeah, Drew. I guess my question is, wondering if they participated at all in the detention basin, because if they're getting a lot out of it, what benefit was it to the city to allow them to make space for their detention?
Well, I would love to answer that, but I know Mr. Shaw is on the line, and that was more of a public works issue. So hopefully Mike can answer that for you. Mike, would you join in, please?
So on that, when we built it, we didn't ask for participation. It was such a minimal basin that was there, but it was also creating us a big problem because that was discharging down the road. It would detain it, discharge it down the road, and was bringing it in down on Buena Vista. This way we're putting it in, we're getting it in the pipe and getting it down the piping all the way to Mill Creek. It was a better working scenario for us, so we never asked him for any participation.
Makes sense. Appreciate the clarification.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments on that? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the plat amendment for the New Warm Springs Phase 4, Amendment Number 2, located at 845 North Caddington Road, Lot 80, applicant Robert Burns.
Second by Clough.
Motion and a second. We'll go roll call vote. Ivy,
Aye.
Daly,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Clough,
Aye.
Coates.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Item 6, ordinance. If I may, continuation of consideration to approve an ordinance amending the general plan G-20-03, requesting to change the land use designation from low density LD and open space OS to medium density MD and planned unit development residential PUD-R. Property located approximately 4300 south, 700 east. Applicant Bob Hermanson.
Thank you, Mayor. The item was tabled at the May 13th, 2020 City Council meeting. Please note the new exhibit updated, which I have on your screen. We talked about that little L shape in our last meeting down there at the low density area, and you can see it now put into format. And so the red area is remaining low density. The purple area is what they're proposing for medium density. And the green area is the PUD residential area, which will be a multifamily. And then they did put in the yellow area, which will remain in open space for you council members. So this is the difference. I can zoom down in, or, well, actually I wrote them in your report, just so you know. The new proposing on the acreage now is to remain in low density. It'll be 27.79 acres. They're asking that 37.23 acres go to the medium density. The PUD-R area will then go to 21.6 acres, and then remaining in the yellow, the open space because of the hillside, will be 9.37 acres. And so the total is a 95.99 acre proposal. And there's the 4 different categories that they're proposing to the city council tonight. And so with that, I'll just remind you that the Planning Commission several weeks back unanimously recommended approval of G-20-03 to amend the general plan land use map. And of course, their recommendation was a little bit different. You've asked for a few upgrades, and then here are your upgrades that you've asked for. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions this council might have on this general plan amendment.
Councilman Staley, you have a question? Councilman Clough and Councilman Ivy.
Yeah, Drew, and in reviewing the exhibit, and I appreciate you going over the revised and updated area that's on the table for a general plan land use designation change. The question I had is in regards to the area listed in the separate proposed areas is not consistent with the areas in the legend. So if you look down at the legend, that information was not updated, and I'm wondering which one is correct. I noticed the boundary descriptions are there and they're consistent with what's on the map, but the legend appears to be incorrect.
Yeah, I would probably follow what's on the map. The legend probably got, and we have the applicant is on the phone, and we'll let them clarify. But are you there, Adam?
I am. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you get the question about the difference between what's on the, the colored, items designated, but then the legend has different numbers? Which one is correct?
I did, and I would have to double check with my surveyors. They're the ones who put the map together for me, and I apologize I missed that, but I am about 99% sure the actual correct acreages are what's on the legal descriptions and on the map. The legend more than likely got overlooked. It looks like that old, because the medium density of 55 acres is definitely, we've removed a lot of medium density.
Yeah, Councilman Staley, if I'm just going over the boundary descriptions, and those match with the colors to the left. So it looks like the legend is what's in flaw, which is a good, if you have to have one in the flaw, the legend's in the flaw.
And that's what I suspected after reading the exhibit and looking through I have to be honest, I did not read the boundary descriptions. I would be surprised if Councilman Coates did, but I did look at the very bottom to see the acreage for the proposed areas. And it does appear that the legend's off. I would just hate to approve something with a legend that's off and have that come back and say, well, the legend approves this acreage for the designation change. So that would be a concern for me that anything that's approved tonight, that legend would definitely need to be updated to be correct and match the boundary descriptions and the colors on the exhibit on the map.
And we can do that, and I can have that updated tomorrow. I apologize for missing that.
Any other questions, Councilman Staley? Good. Councilman Clough? We'll go Clough, Ivy, Coates.
Okay, one of my main concerns is the concept of how we've used open space on a hillside. The thing I'd like to reference is Nicing Hill, the development around there. A developer came in and sold lots where open space was a part of the parcels of the land they were selling. So for example, they would draw lines from either the PUDR or the low density residential up into that open space. And as I've talked to people who live near there, what it does is it really creates this really interesting no man's land. It's property that's owned by a resident, but they can't fence it. They're liable for people walking around in it and liable for dogs and everything else. My question for this is, when we have this open space hillside designated, is that something that can be incorporated into lots that border that, or is that going to be purely open space and cannot be developed?
Can I?
Go ahead, Adam.
I apologize. This is Adam Allen again. So Councilman Clough, the only reason why we did that at the time was based on our understanding of how the drainage needs to be taken care of. The drainage cannot, per our understanding of the code, is drainage from one area cannot drain onto another person's lot. And given that scenario on that one, and just kind of the way we didn't know how to handle that. So that was what ended up being the solution between us and Public Works, was to include those areas of the hill in the lot because of the drainage, the way that the drainage ordinance is written, and it's purely for that purpose only.
So within that drainage ordinance, can a person build a structure on that land to address any type of drainage that borders their land and open space? Like a wall or anything like that?
They're not allowed to build in the no-build zone. That's designated on the plat. They're not allowed to build anything in there.
Do you mind if I jump in, Councilman Coates? Because I was having the same thought on this. I really appreciate where you're going. You know, when we had the applicant come back, we asked for 6 or 7 more acres so that we could have larger lots. The concern that I have on this is that with the open space hillside acreage or area, that would then make it so that you could have a small footprint down below, essentially small lots, but yet open space back behind that says, hey, technically we meet that. And I would have a concern that that's not really the intent of why we asked you to go back and add more low density. So I would like the applicant to be on the record. There's no conditions on a general plan amendment, but I would like to be on the record that these lot sizes without the hillside and open space would meet the definition of zoning that's allowed in low density. Is that something you're comfortable with, Adam?
Yes, and that they are 10,000 square foot lots or larger. They do meet that zone, and that also was the case on the other one around Nyson Hill as well. So yeah, these meet that zoning requirement.
And so it's clear in the minutes that does not include the hillside open space area. These lots in the red low density area would be 10,000 plus.
Yes, they do not include the hillside open space area.
And that's in the minutes. Great. Okay.
All right, Councilman Ivy.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just want to clarify in the background information. It says, please note that the new exhibits, the applicant adjusted the request area as requested by the city council. I just want to clarify that was a request by some of the city council members. And I say that with appreciation to Mr. Hermanson and Mr. Givey and now Mr. Allen for making efforts to change the density. But I'm going to stand by my basketball analogy that and I told you this, I'm going to make you listen to it one more time. I drive around neighborhoods, I can see basketball courts that are in their backyards when it's a big enough lot, and when they're not, they're out on the street. And I think that we are setting a perilous standard of sacrificing family living space for increased profitability. I think the general plan has it right. Low density, 10,000 plus is where I think this needs to be. And that's my thought.
Thank you. Councilman Coates.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to ask a question to Drew on all these other parcels have a legal, but the open space does not. I think we should have a legal associated with the open space.
Is that a question or a statement, I guess? Because yeah, we can do either. I'm fine with it. If they must have had it.
I think my question is the general plan appropriate for it on the legal? Typically,
Well,
that's
because
a
it's
zoning
already
thing.
open space. It was already designated open space in the general plan. We're really not changing that, I guess. Does that help? I mean, we can have them write one. I have no
I just
problem.
think we just write one just so we have it as part of the
'Cause,
application.
I mean, they came up with 9.37. That they couldn't have just pulled that out of their hat. I would imagine there's one somewhere.
Yeah, I
So-
just think it would help clarify the map if we updated the legend and then add a legal for the open space area.
That's no problem.
So that's all.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Drew or for the applicant? I see none. Yeah. One of you gentlemen ready to make consideration or a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinance amending the general plan G-20-03 requesting to change the land use designation from low density and open space to medium density and planned unit development residential PUDR. The property is located at 4300 South, 700 East with the current densities of low density of 27.79 and then the medium density at 37.23 acres, and the PUDR at 21.6, and the open space at 9.37 acres, with the additional condition to update the legend to match those acreages and add the legal description for the open space.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second by Clough.
I have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote. We'll start with Councilman Ward.
Aye.
Ward, aye. Clough.
Aye.
Daley.
I appreciate everything the applicant has done to meet the, the concerns that we have. But at the end of the day, I've got to go with my gut, and I just appreciate Councilman Ivy's analogy of having space, and 10,000 square foot lots I think are more appropriate here. So my vote is nay.
Thank you. Ivy.
And again, just to make comment before my vote, I think the general plan has it right. My vote is nay.
Coates.
Aye.
That passes 3-2.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Adam. Item 7, agreements. Consideration to approve an agreement between Washington County and the City of Washington regarding the transfer of ownership of real property located in Washington, Utah. Mike Chow.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a very simple transfer of property. We've done 3 or 4 of them in the past. It's the radius up at the corner of Pocahontas and Uinta. When they recorded the plat for the subdivision, they squared it off. They didn't include the radius. The radius has been a no man's land, and the county's just trying to clean up their records. So it's pretty simple, straightforward. It's just including the radius into the road.
My motion would be that Councilman Coates makes this motion. He understands radius and property a lot better than I do.
Is that an official
That's
motion?
my motion. It's not an official motion.
I have to admit, I wonder if we can look at a map to see it. Because I saw the agreement, but can we pull it up? Can Drew pull it up and show us where it's at?
I actually have it where I can pull it up.
Councilman Staley's about having me do all the survey work today, I guess. Which is okay.
Hey, if I wanted to learn something, I would go to Councilman Clough or Ivy, right? But if I
That's
need
right.
land expertise, I go to you.
Well, if I have insurance issues, I'll come talk to you.
Councilman Ivy, you have a question?
Yes, Mike, who initiated this transfer? Was it Washington City or Washington County?
Washington County.
So I just have a question, or maybe a comment for those maybe that are watching at home. It says in the terms that it's the rights of the property in fee simple, and fee simple is just an absolute type of property ownership to where you can do whatever you want with it. Is that correct, Mike? Is that the way I understand it correctly?
Yes.
Mike, I've got it. If you want me to pop it up, or you?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm fumbling around trying to do it.
Is that showed up?
Yep.
You can see the blue. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, so if you click on the corner, the opposite corner of that, there's the little radius you can see in there. Not that piece. You can see just around that radius, it'll pull the parcel up.
But this one doesn't have it, right?
Well, that one is one that we did a few years back.
Right.
So you can see that little radius portion on that property. Same thing on this property on the other corner.
No, the box is going to be in the way.
Well, go right to the
There
corner,
we
Drew.
go.
Go right to the corner,
Oh, okay.
right there.
Oh, there you go.
So it's the opposite corner that we're accepting. We did that one a few years back, so it's that one there.
And that's 1/100th of an acre.
Yeah. It's just the radius
What's
where
the
the
price?
corner,
How
where
much?
the corner made the radius, they just didn't include it when they platted the road.
Is that
Can
worth
you
the
zoom
10
out,
bucks,
Drew?
Mike?
Is what?
Is that worth the 10 bucks?
No, not really.
Hey, Drew, can you zoom out? I'm just trying to get my bearings of where we're at in the city.
All the way up into Indian Oaks.
Indian Oaks.
Oh, all right. All right.
And like I say, I think this will be the third one we've done in Indian Oaks.
All right, any other questions? Kurt, Jeff Starkey, you have a question?
Oh, yeah, sorry about that, Mike. I think the portions of the recitals in the agreement answered my question. This isn't, so it's not by the property boundary lines with the county and the city anyway. So we're not adjusting boundary line. This is just ownership within the city of an old piece of road or something, right?
It was just a no man's land between the dedication of the road and the property.
Okay. But it doesn't change actual city or county boundaries. So
No.
yeah, I think it answered its own question in your writing. So we're good.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think I'll entertain a motion.
Here, I'll make a motion that we approve an agreement between Washington County and the city of Washington regarding the transfer of ownership of real property located in Washington City, Utah. Do I need to state the agreement number, or is there resolution number R-2020-2592?
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and I have a second. We'll do a roll call vote. Clough,
Aye.
Ivy,
Aye.
Ord,
Aye.
Coach,
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
That is passed. Thank you, gentlemen. Anything to report from your sign committee? May I just interject right now? I forgot during the announcements. Monday, Washington City will have buses. Starting Monday. So I don't know if you've noticed, they've put up the bus stop signs. So I don't know if city manager was going to report a little bit about that, but it's my wife's birthday, so I thought we'd celebrate opening a bus.
Live it up, Mayor.
That's all I had. Anybody want to report?
I'd like to report, Mayor, if that's okay.
Sure.
Two things to report on. First of all, the mosquitoes are out in full force like last year. And with us having kind of a really cool, long spring, expect a lot of that. One of my requests to the council members, if you come across anyone talking about presence or sight of mosquitoes in their area, please let us know. We've actually advanced our abilities to both monitor and treat mosquito populations before they attack our residents. We actually had some people suffer from West Nile virus in our community last year and had a death. So it is a worthwhile thing to just keep your ears open. Let us know, because if there's any area of concern, we can put monitoring on any place and get it treated quickly. So with us all excited about viruses this year, and mosquitoes being one of those vector points, please, if you come across anything, let us know. Second thing to report is I had a couple questions at the beginning of this meeting concerning what we're going to do for the 24th of July. I did get an update from the parties working on that right now. And right now, the appearance of the 24th of July does not have either booths or a parade. So we're trying to figure out what the celebration will be in a code yellow situation. And so that will have details to come, and I hope to have more to report on next time we meet as a council and see if we can meet with those parties and get more information. So that's all I have to report at this time, Mayor.
Councilman Ivy?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Just like to report that our Washington City Youth Council has graduated. The mayor and I signed some certificates thanking them for their service to Washington City, and looking forward to another group next year. And the second thing is refers to the Legislative Policy Committee in reference to some of what we've been talking about, and that is when Lieutenant Governor Cox was asked about summer events, his direct answer was plan them. And I think that, and of course, we don't know what it's going to look like, but if we don't plan them, we can't hold them. So the summer events may change moving forward, but we also have some time between now and then. So it's my hope that we can plan them and offer whatever we can do at the time.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have nothing.
I forgot. Go ahead, Councilman Coates.
I don't have anything on mine, but I had a quick question just because I'm new to the council. What does the council typically do on the 24th? I mean, are we part of the parade? Or are we just to help assist? I'm just curious what the role of the council is on those type of events.
A lot of it, Councilman, is depends on who's organizing it. Sometimes they like to have the mayor and council be in the parade. Otherwise, we're just eye candy.
You know, I like to add with that.
Yes, Mayor.
For the most part, Councilman Coates, the city does participate in helping parade routes. They participate with helping with prizes. They participate with some minor funding, but as per council, I don't think we are not even in that parade, Mayor, if I can be
We
correct.
have been in the past, but we haven't for the last couple of
Yeah.
years.
So that is a unique scenario because it's transferring back to a city event and not trying to be an extension of Days of 47, which is a very past conversation. But as per participation as a council, we are not required as a council to be present there. It is not anything that we have a specific role, but we do participate as a council to support the event because it represents our heritage and celebrations that our community has been doing for a long time. If that helps, did that clarify it for you?
No, but yes, I knew that stuff. I was just curious if we should be in the parade. It sounded fun to me. So that's all I was saying, is as a council and do something for the community. I mean,
Veterans Day for sure. Cotton Days when we have it again.
well, I'm up for whatever the council wants to do, is all I'm saying. So, but I have nothing to talk about from my committees. So.
Okay. Councilman Staley?
Just great things happening with economic development. You're all in the loop on some of that exciting news. Active transportation is going well. Excited to hear that the bus is rolling out. That committee is an active committee within the city. They're constantly looking at trails, and those trails I think are being used more now than just about ever. And then on the planning commission, they've continued to meet similar to the way we're meeting. I pop into those meetings and listen. At some point, I think it would be great to have them tasked with the job of defining more clearly what is open space and what is open space. That would be a fun task for the planning commission to undertake. It would certainly make things a lot easier on us, but other than that, that's all that's on my mind and for my assignments at this time.
Thank you. Councilman Ward, anything to add?
Sorry, I have to unmute in two places. I don't have anything there.
Okay, thank you very much. I do. I just received a text from Mayor Pike. I forgot something. June 12th, gentlemen, put that on your calendar. We're going to cut a ribbon on that new trail to merge Washington and St. George on that final last, he called it the last minute mile. I think that's what he called it, something like that, or the missing link or something.
Missing
I know
link.
it's open right now, but an official ribbon cutting will be at 8 o'clock. I believe that's Friday, the 12th of June. We're asking people to go park at Sullivan. Then you can ride your bike down. It's about, maybe a mile to where we'll cut the ribbon. So
Mayor, is that 8 a.m.?
8 a.m., yes, sir. They don't want it to be a huge deal, but we want to, if you can come, we'll be dressed in our biking garb and go from that point down. I think we're going to go down over their new bridge and down to Dixie Center and back.
And Mayor, if I might suggest, if you haven't watched the video that Mayor Nelson and Mayor Pike made, you need to watch that. It reminded me of two legends like those big screen stars of yesteryear.
Yeah.
So they're fantastic.
Hey, you're kind. All right, we'll move on to our city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Hey, I'm just looking up here because the question was asked earlier, and I do know that we've just recently received some additional information from our other partner with respect to the 24th of July. But I was just looking under the most recent phasing plan of the governor's, and the closest thing we come up to, of course, is events, cultural arts and entertainment. That's where I would place parades underneath that. And again, it's on page 14. I'm not going to refer to it now. You can look at it later. But the fact of the matter is, it appears that some items are kind of relevant, some are not so much. But really, the main gist you get out of this particular section is just doing things that can permit people to be distanced. So I didn't see anything else that was right on point per se. With respect to that. But again, it sounds like we have some partners that have some different ideas. Anyway, just a couple of updates, Mayor, on a couple of projects. We do anticipate that on our next meeting that you're gonna have an irrigation master plan update meeting, just where we're up to date on that issue. And so anticipate that. A lot going on with our streets primarily, and that's what I'll touch on really quickly. So the Parkway from Washington Parkway up to Green Springs is having its final touches. It's been all striped to go along with what Councilman Staley just mentioned. It's including a bike lane up through that area. So that's actually going to be kind of a fun ride down there. They're just finishing up some signage and some landscaping and some other things. But basically that will be, I think I can say, and Mike can jump in if he disagrees with this, but I think it'll essentially probably open up sometime next week for traffic to roll along that. So that's going to be a great connection. Now, Mike will give it a few months, some period of time, and then we'll begin to both monitor there and we'll monitor at key points on the Green Springs interchange to see if we can see, hopefully, some pattern changes that might be beneficial to the Green Springs interchange. The road maintenance project that we always do in the spring is continuing. It should be completed here in the next week and a half. And then on Main Street, you can see a lot's going on Main Street. The contractor's in the final stages of installing the sewer and storm drain lines from 400 North down to Telegraph Street, and as well as the over excavating and shaping of the subgrade in that same area. They are over there. You can see the medians. If any of you have not traveled up and underneath the I-15 to 400 North, you can actually see the medians in place. Those are the storm drain medians. And of course, those will be completed and there'll be, the medians going down the road will be landscaped and everything, but kind of cool to see how that all will function with regards to this kind of flood road, if you will, and how that'll be transported. Again, the contractors paved that section. That's part of where the buses that's part of the route of the buses. So they come down 400 North and then they turn up Main Street. And so they've been actually able to practice this week on the actual Main Street road as well. But there's still a lot of work going on. And so really appreciate the patience of the Main Street residents. They have been just stellar in their patience and in their cooperation with us. And so we really appreciate that. Just a couple other little items. Our 100 South feeder power rebuild should be completed in the next couple of weeks as we tie into the Walmart line. And then we'll be prepping in the next couple of weeks for the final budget opening for the 2020 budget, this budget here. Now, I had received all but I believe 2 of you, and I'll reach out to you in an individual email, all but 2 of you, what your priority was on the one-time funding. Now, again, I am not sure that we'll have any one-time funding, but nonetheless, we'll get those in and collate those and get those back out to the council to look at. So I'll reach out to the 2, I believe it's 2 that I have not received yet and see if we can get those in. But again, I mentioned that we will be talking to about the one-time funding as we got closer to the end of the year and the final budget opening. One other thing that I would mention is, and somebody brought it up. So we had a little bit of a issue with, and we don't know what it is yet, but we got word the other day that the basement of the Covington home has turned into a fun house. Basically, half the floor has bowed upwards and probably about a foot to a foot and a half. And it appears that we've got some water, could be springs. These are areas that we have a lot of springs, and those springs walk around. But anyway, we've got it bowed up, and we're in the process of analyzing that to see what's going on. But it's weird. I mean, it's just the weirdest thing you ever saw. And it's popped the baseboards and the whole bit. And so I just want to mention that to you because somebody brought up the Covington home, and I thought, well, I'll tell you what we're dealing with up there. So we don't know the extent of that as of yet. I think, Mayor, that's all the updates I had for today, unless the council has any questions.
I wanted to answer a question Councilman Staley did, and I forgot the answer. 4th of July, I replied back, but the Lions Club is still debating what to do. They're thinking more just a breakfast. So I think we're meeting tomorrow night to finalize all that. Just FYI on that, gentlemen. So.
Mayor, we couldn't hear you.
I had to unmute. I want to entertain a motion to adjourn. Sorry about that, gentlemen.
I make that motion, Mayor, to adjourn the meeting.
Give me a thumbs up. How about Councilman Ward? Give me an eye, will you?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you for your patience with this, and staff and everybody. We hope you have a great evening. Go spend it with